So association nuclei. For association nuclei, you have the pulvinar and dorsomedial nuclei in the thalamus. So thalamus is receiving information from basal ganglia, from reticular formation, from brainstem nuclei, and also from other part of the limbic system. So these are information. These are the different stimuli that is received by thalamus and the pulvinar and dorsomedial nuclei. And the thalamus is now connected with association cortices. So you can see that the association cortex, you can see in all lobes are there. But there's another pathway there too, that these cortices can also connect with each other directly, which is in this image. So if you remember, superior longitudinal fasciculus, and this is arcuate fasciculus, this is uncinate fasciculus, and this is the inferior fronto-occipital fasciculus. So these are also direct pathways that connecting one lobe with another lobe. The problem with that is that it is slow, but thalamus is located in the middle, and it is easier to carry information from one part to another part. So this connection of the thalamus is actually increasing the speed of conduction of the information. So in the example I can give you is like an airport. So for example, Chicago or Dallas or New York is like a big hub for multiple airlines. So they're connecting international flights that come there and those major airports, and from there then it can the airplanes can go to other smaller destinations. So it makes it easier and it's more manageable, and it's better that way. So same idea there. Here is the pulvinar is important for both visual processing visual information and auditory information. So it's bilaterally connected and getting bilateral communication between pulvinar and visual association area, and also pulvinar is connected with the other association areas in the brain. So both in the visual system and the auditory system, pulvinar is connecting different association cortices. For visual system, it's important for visual salience. Visual salience is actually the same thing as attention to a specific visual stimuli. So I don't know why they put it is because it means the same thing. And part of the working memory is actually visual salience. So if you want to concentrate on something, and if, for example, you're manipulating something, you're fixing something, you're drawing something, and that's the visual memory. So then you are focusing on that and you're doing that specific task. For the auditory system, the function is the same thing. So comprehension of the speech and other sounds, so for understanding auditory information, and also for short-term memory is important. For example, you're listening to this lecture, so you're connecting multiple sentences and multiple information together to make sense of a bigger picture. So that is a short-term auditory memory. You can see that the pulvinar here is connected to the different association areas. So and the output is also same thing. So the input and output is almost the same thing, except the retina, which is just an input. But for the brain itself, different parts of the brain, the association areas, the input and output is the same thing. So this is the same thing as this area that you can see that the association areas have bilateral communication with the pulvinar. And then the pulvinar has a specific communication with the auditory and visual association cortices. We are still in the association nuclei. So as I said before, there's two of them that are responsible for this. One is the Pulvinar, and the other one is the dorsomedial nucleus. Here the dorsomedial nucleus it has a bilateral connection with the entorhinal cortex, and the entorhinal cortex is part of the limbic system that provides information about odor and other types of olfactory sensory stimuli. It also is connected with the limbic system, and here the dorsomedial nucleus is receiving information from amygdala. If you remember, amygdala is for emotional memory, especially the negative emotional memory, and then it sends information to cingulate gyrus, entorhinal cortex, and a hippocampus, which is again part of the limbic system there. So that is for emotional response to any kind of motor activity. And the dorsomedial is also connected with the basal ganglia. Basal ganglia function is for coordination of limb motor activity, so that way it helps with the motor activity. And it is also connected with the prefrontal cortex. Dorsomedial nucleus filter some information, and information that it thinks is important, it sends it to the prefrontal cortex. So that's the gating information. Not everything is sent there. And it's also part of the executive function, which I talked about it before, like paying attention and planning and all those kind of activities, the problem solving and working memory, all those things are part of the executive function. And all of these areas are bilateral connections. So dorsomedial nucleus have bilateral connection with the prefrontal cortex, entorhinal cortex, basal ganglia, and the limbic system. It's a bilateral communication.